What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here, as always, on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today I'm going to be rounding out the Skywalker Saga with the final chapter of the sequel trilogy, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, starring Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams, Anthony Daniels, Joonis Suotamo, Ian McDiarmid, Mark Hamill, Greg Grunberg, and Billy Lord. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And as I said at the top of the show, today we're going to bring to a close the Skywalker Saga. We still have some more Star Wars themed content to cover because the next 3 days we're going to be taking a look at the Family Guy Star Wars trilogy. But until Disney decides to either do another trilogy or more standalone films similar to Solo and Rogue One, this is the final chapter of the Skywalker Saga. So let's get right down to it here, shall we? Our film opens with Kylo Ren obtaining a Sith Wayfinder, which will lead you to the uncharted planet of Exegol. There, Ren finds the former Emperor Palpatine. Palpatine reveals to Ren that he created Supreme Leader Snoke as a puppet of sorts in order to turn Ren to the dark side of the Force. Palpatine tells him, "Every voice you have heard inside your head has been me." Palpatine then reveals to Ren the Final Order, a secret battalion of Star Destroyers, and commands Ren to find and kill Rey, who is continuing her Jedi training under a new master, General Leia Organa. Now, while Rey is busy training, Finn and Poe receive intel from a spy within the First Order of the Emperor's existence on Exegol. Rey uses Luke Skywalker's old journal to learn that a Sith Wayfinder can lead the resistance there. So Rey, Finn, Poe, Chewbacca, BB-8, and C-3PO depart in the Millennium Falcon to the planet of Pasaana, where a clue is hidden. Ren then uses a Force bond to try and discover her location, and once he locates her, he goes with his Knights of Ren to Pasaana to confront her. On Pasaana, the Resistance team of friends encounter former Rebel Alliance General Lando Calrissian. And with Lando's help, Rey and her friends find the clue that they need to the Sith Wayfinder, a dagger inscribed with Sith text. And C-3PO, he knows all these different languages, fluent in 6 million forms of communication. He can decipher the text, but his programming forbids him from interpreting the text. So he can read it, but his programming won't allow him to tell you what it says. The friends also locate the remains of a ship belonging to Ochi, a Jedi hunter. Rey senses that Kylo Ren is nearby and decides to face and confront him. The First Order captures the Falcon, Chewbacca, and the dagger, and in an attempt to save Chewie, Rey accidentally destroys a First Order transport with Force lightning. They believe Chewie to be dead, and as a result, they escape on Ochi's ship. The group travels to Kijimi, where a droidsmith named Babu Frick is able to extract the Sith text from C-3PO's memory, revealing the coordinates to the Wayfinder. However, as a side effect to this, C-3PO's memory is wiped, and he has no memory of his friends. I gotta say, for as annoying of a character as C-3PO can be sometimes, the scene there where Poe asks him, what are you doing, 3PO? And he replies, taking one last look at my friends. Gut-wrenching, man. It gets you in the feels, because even C-3PO is able to draw that emotion out of you. That isn't the first time or the last time in this saga that it happens. We're going to discuss one that's even better in a few minutes here. Rey is able to sense that Chewie is still alive, and the group mounts a rescue mission to Kylo Ren's Star Destroyer, where Rey discovers the dagger and, while holding it, has visions of Ochi killing her parents with it. Ren then drops a bombshell on Rey that she is the granddaughter of Palpatine, and that the Sith Lord ordered Ochi to recover Rey as a child, but her parents hid her on Jakku to protect her. General Hux then reveals himself to be the mole within the First Order, saving Poe, Finn, and Chewbacca from execution. Hux permits the group to leave on board the Falcon, but Allegiant General Pryde senses that Hux is the mole, so Pryde kills him. The group takes the Falcon to the Wayfinder's coordinates on a moon in the Endor system, where the remains of the second Death Star are. But she is met by Kylo Ren, who destroys the Wayfinder and duels with her. Leia tries to call to her son through the Force, distracting him as Rey impales him. Rey then senses that Leia is dying and heals Kylo Ren by using the Force. Rey takes Ren's ship and returns to Ahch-To in order to exile herself, just like Luke had done. Once she arrives on Ahch-To, Rey encounters Luke's Force Spirit, and Luke encourages Rey to face Palpatine and presents her with none other than Leia's lightsaber. Rey departs Ahch-To on board Luke's X-Wing fighter, which had been buried in the water below for who knows how long. And she ends up heading to Exegol, using the Wayfinder from Kylo Ren's ship. Meanwhile, Ren is conversing with the memory of his father, Han Solo, and throws away his lightsaber and reclaims his identity as Ben Solo. Sensing Leia's death and Ben's redemption, Palpatine sends one of his Star Destroyers equipped with super lasers to destroy Kijimi as a show of force. Poe, Finn, and Chewbacca return to the Resistance base, and they need to speak to General Organa immediately. It's at this point that it's revealed to them that Leia has died. And this scene is, I can't say it's one of my favorite scenes because it's such a sad, tragic scene, but it was handled so beautifully after having Carrie Fisher pass, a couple years prior, to be able to have enough footage of her and to be able to repurpose footage of her to keep her through the entire trilogy and then give her this send-off befitting of a princess, I think was so beautifully done. And in my personal opinion, Chewbacca here is the one who steals the scene, because his reaction to hearing the news about Leia's passing, if those words from 3PO about looking at my friends one last time didn't hit you in the feels and make you a mess, Chewbacca's reaction reduces me to a blubbering mess every time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, check this out real quick.
Oh, something's happened. Finn.
Just can't wait. We gotta see the General.
She's gone.
Who would have thought that a Wookiee who speaks in gargles and growls would be able to get that much emotion into the scene? Like, for real. No words are necessary, and you can understand exactly what Chewie is trying to say through his growls and his cries. He is so hurt. First, he watches Han get freaking killed by his own son in the first installment of this trilogy. And then Leia. All of Chewie's best friends are just falling to the First Order. And you can just feel his pain, his anguish, his suffering. If you could give an Oscar to a Wookiee for this scene for best acting, like, I totally would. Because, like I said, Chewbacca steals the scene. Back to the story, though. Rey, from Luke's X-Wing, begins to transmit her coordinates to R2-D2, which allows the Resistance, which is now being led by Poe and Finn, to follow her to Exegol. On Exegol, Rey confronts Palpatine, and he demands for her to kill him, which would allow his spirit to pass into her. Meanwhile, Lando has recruited reinforcements from all across the galaxy to join the Resistance in their battle. Ben is able to overpower his own Knights of Ren and joins Rey in her confrontation of Palpatine. Palpatine uses the dark side of the Force to drain power from both Ben and Rey in order to rejuvenate himself, and he incapacitates Ben and attacks the Resistance fleet with Force lightning. Weakened, Rey hears the voices of the past Jedi, who encourage her and lend her strength. Palpatine claims to be all of the Sith and attacks her with Force lightning, while Rey counters back, declaring to be all of the Jedi, and uses both Luke and Leia's lightsabers to deflect the Force lightning, killing Palpatine before she begins to die herself. And this is another scene in the film, man. It was done so well, but the one thing that I wanted to see was when Rey declared herself to be all of the Jedi. I wanted to see the Jedis from past standing behind her, using the Force and defeating the Emperor once and for all with her. And while J.J. Abrams didn't shoot the scene that way, somebody out there on YouTube, I don't know who the creator of it is, did a fan edit and made that scene that way. And I kid you not, guys, when I first discovered it, I immediately copied the link and I sent it to everybody that I knew who had seen this movie, because the one thing I came out of it wanting was the scene to look just like this. And it didn't. But when I found that video, which I'm going to show to you right here, just look at how much more impactful the scene becomes with all the Force ghosts behind Rey.
You are nothing. A scavenger girl is no match for the power in me. I am all the Sith.
And I... I'm all the Jedi.
You know, I think what I love the most about it is that they don't throw every single Jedi in there, but you get the four main ones. You see Yoda, you see Obi-Wan, you see Luke, you see Anakin. And I love, love, love the fact that Anakin and Luke are standing side by side. Because the one thing we never got in the original trilogy was father and son side by side. Because by the time Anakin revealed himself to Luke and we saw Anakin inside the Vader suit, he was dying. We never got to have that father-son full circle moment, but we get it with this fan edit, man. So whoever you are out there that originally created that video, first of all, no, I'm not trying to make any money off of this. I just applaud you. Thank you for making the edit that I wanted to see in theaters. Ben then sees that Rey is beginning to die and uses the Force to revive her, just like she had done to him, but at the cost of his own life. Rey and Ben share a kiss before he dies, and the Resistance are able to defeat Palpatine's Star Destroyer battalion, while people across the galaxy begin to rise up against the First Order. The Resistance returns to their base and celebrates, and after the celebration, Rey journeys to Tatooine and visits Luke's abandoned childhood home. She buries Luke and Leia's lightsabers, and a passerby encounters her there. And the passerby comments about how this place has been abandoned for years. And who are you? And Rey looks at her, and she replies with Rey Skywalker, as the spirits of Luke and Leia look on with approval. I'm not going to take too long to discuss things right here, right now. I'm going to get right into this. We had Statboy rounding out the original trilogy with me, and here to discuss the Rise of Skywalker with me, none other than the man, the myth, the legend, the West Coast professor himself, Jeff Meacham. Jeff, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me here today.
It's good to be here, brother.
Yeah, I feel like you're almost on my channel as much as I'm on your channel.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely been an interesting week, and this is the first time I've been on camera in front of anybody pretty much all week, so I do apologize for my absence. There's been some interesting developments in my care as far as what's going on, so that's why I've been not so happy-peppy to be on camera live or otherwise. So if this is the first time you're seeing me this week without actually talking to me personally, I do apologize for the lack of content, and we will do our best to get up next. It's coming Monday for Talk Wrestling. Oh, actually Sunday for the pay-per-view review, and then hopefully tomorrow for the predictions if I get those together. So, but we're not here to dwell on my sorrows. We're here to dwell on Chewbacca's sorrows, apparently. I mean, goodness sakes.
I'm just saying, dude, like, if we could give an Oscar to a Wookiee for best acting, like,
right.
Tell me honestly that he does not steal that scene.
No, and to quote me and my shirt that's now on the Jeff Meacham spring store, here's the thing. It goes back even farther than the New Hope and meeting these people, and reacquainting with Obi-Wan, though he doesn't, say it out loud because he technically didn't meet Obi-Wan in the prequels. He kind of interacted with Yoda as the main contact point on Kashyyyk. But think about it. He's lost every damn person he's been in contact with throughout this 9-movie, 10 if you count Solo, saga. He's lost Yoda. He's lost Obi-Wan. He's lost the trio. He's lost every damn buddy. So I think his collapsing against that ship has as much to do with Leia, who honestly is our heroine. We all love our princess and everything, and don't get me wrong, that sucked. But Chewbacca is having roughly 40 years of everything just hitting him square in his Wookiee nuts at the same time. It's like, Jesus, everybody's dead. Screw everything, for real. I'm done, man. I'm done with all this loss.
For real. And it's like, I'm sure he was close to Luke.
Right.
But I don't think the Luke one hit him as hard. Like, you go back and you watch The Force Awakens, and he physically watches Han get murdered by Kylo Ren.
Yes.
And then he just proceeds to shoot Kylo, F you, you SOB.
Well, it's like we talked about in private chat. Like, I remember, like, they always say, you remember where you were when the moon landing. You remember where you were when Kennedy got shot. Man, I can get my mental self back in that cramped ass 5th row theater seat and watching Harrison Ford approach Adam Driver and going, oh shit, no, oh shit, like not to myself, but I'm still out loud. And my brother giving me the what the F look. I'm like, just wait. And then he ignited the saber. I was like, no, I screamed no as loud as Chewbacca did. I screamed at theater. I had looks from people that I know my whole life in this town, because we're a pretty small town here. You know this. And they're looking at me like I had 3 heads. Like, no, you don't understand what just happened here. This is some shit. So for that to evolve into, we all know going into this that it's going to be the trio's last hurrah, one way or the other, death or otherwise. They have to make way, should it happen, for this new batch of folks to continue on the legacy. And when you think about it, they named this entire thing the Skywalker Saga. When it was all released and home videoed out and made 400 different ways so Disney could make $1 million per copy. And hey, that's cool, Disney going. You can see you guys made plenty of money on me over the last few years, so no worries on that. But
do what you do. I mean,
right?
Leave it to Disney to whore themselves out to make whatever they can.
But for the few of us that don't have a completely cynical approach to Disney, and I'm not quite there yet, getting there, the Skywalker Saga. The last of the Skywalkers, other than Rey, who adopted the name, the last of the blood Skywalkers is truly gone. So calling it the Skywalker Saga is very apropos. In Chapter 1, we meet a Skywalker. In Chapter 9, the last Skywalker falls. Boom. Done. Move on to the next portion. Now, it has been 2 years almost since we've had a Episode 10 even talked about. So will we go forward? Based on what I hear from George and Kathleen, probably not. But will we have all the, the Rogue Ones and all the peripherals? Oh yeah. and all these TV series that they're going to make every damn dime off of Disney Plus, and whoever hasn't subscribed to Disney Plus, who hasn't fallen in line with the rest of the Minions, they will. Oh yeah, they will. Between Mandalorian and the Bad Batch that's out now, they are going to get every last person on this planet that's been a Star Wars fan for any reason to latch onto whatever they can to get out of whatever they can, because they know, for all intents and purposes, their movie going, having people line up for weeks at a time stuff is probably over. So,
and it doesn't have to be. I mean, if they're going to do another tale, they need to start with episode 1.
Okay.
Instead of doing an episode 10.
Agreed.
Like you said, the Skywalker Saga is over, 1 through 9.
Right.
Already 10, 11, 12, 13, if you count it the Renegade way.
Right. Yep.
But whatever the next theatrical installment is, needs to be chapter 1.
Yes.
Unless it's going to be another spin-off peripheral movie that ties into the timeline of this saga.
Right.
So be it. But I'm not really sure what else they can do at this point.
Yeah.
Because everything else they're doing on Disney Plus. They've got The Mandalorian, which takes place in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens.
Yes.
They've got the Kenobi saga coming, which is going to take place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
And we know that because both Ewan and Hayden are coming back, so it takes place then. So, and then, like I said, you have Bad Batch out right now. You have the Clone Wars TV series finally coming to a definitive, okay, here's where shit gets real in Revenge of the Sith. Here's where we left off. Boom, you're done. Season 7, that's it. So, I do agree there, as I always say on my shows, there's plenty of meat on that bone. It just, you don't want to go start cutting off the pig's ass to get a tail. I mean, that's kind of silly. So, you want to cut, prime meat. You want to cut, prime cuts out of these things. And Disney knows how to do that. And they've got, regardless of how you feel about Kathleen, I know a lot of people do not like Kathleen Kennedy. That's, that's your Star Wars deal. That's on you guys. I happen to like what she's done with this, with her reign as president, and the whole succeeding George. And I think she's doing okay. And I think that she and people like Jon Favreau and them are doing a tremendous job at, sustaining the legacy. Now, this movie itself, I've heard for the past almost 2 years, it very much felt akin to Friday the 13th, 2009, where they were trying to get every damn thing into one movie. And that's why it seemed longer than it was. Believe it or not, it's only 2.5 hours. It's not one of these 3-hour, no offense to the MCU, but these 3-hour or DCU rather, epic tales that tells every damn thing. I liked how this story had a flow. I mean, you get in the opening crawl, oh shit, the Emperor's back, and you are thrust up in it. Like, there is no, blockade run chase. There's no, okay, when's it going to start, man? Kylo's cutting through shit. He's at the Emperor within the first 10 minutes. Like, oh shit, here we go. So I loved how they did that. I did like how they included the voices from the past. I love your version that you found, as you said, from that YouTube user, of the actual visual people behind her. That would have been a tremendous touch. And I dare say, if I can find a way to get a edit of it copied with that thrown in, I will do it. Much like you and I found that edit of the original trilogy that I'm working on. Keeping an eye on there on Etsy, looking at you guys, because I'm about to get me some of that, because I don't think either one of us has seen the original trilogy since like 96 at least.
Since VHS.
Since the not quite as cool Disney clamshell days. Like, my God, those hideous Fox CBS things that weren't clamshells, but they weren't boxes. I don't know what they were, but they were fugly.
And for those of you out there in internet land that don't know what a VHS is, it's these prehistoric tapes about this big, clunky as all get out, that were around before DVDs. Before the dark times. Before the wait, sorry, wrong part of the story. Actually, that just worked perfectly. Where you would go to like a Blockbuster,
yes,
to rent these suckers.
Yeah, and to show how old I am, when I started working at a Blockbuster, we started renting those out. And that was only 21 years ago. So they're not as ancient as the current people would have you believe. They're not that far gone. It's just we've had such evolution. DVD, Blu-ray, high definition, 4K. Like, I mean, no offense to the 4K folks out there, but do we really need to see how big Freddy Krueger's nose hairs are in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 on a 4K? I don't need to see that. That's okay. So kind of good on that. But, I'm happy with my Blu-ray, my $50 little Blu-ray player that plays the same damn movies. And if I get my hands on the original trilogy like I'm talking about, it'll be very funny to see the original cuts in high definition. I'm curious how they're going to pull those off. So, because if y'all haven't seen Star Wars Empire or A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi prior to the 97 special edition releases, you have not seen these movies. I'm telling you, just the way George pulled shit off between 75 and 83 will make you go, this dude is a genius. Him and Spielberg and all that, man, they pulled shit off that you try to do that stuff now, people be like, this is too primitive. You try it back then, they're like, you're out of your gourd. We can't pull this off right now. And either way, you're both wrong. So
try to reel it back in a little bit, because we've gotten off into the weeds as we do.
Well, I'm on the show, so of course we're in the weeds today, So
you mentioned how Kylo was with the Emperor within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What was your reaction to the revelation of Rey being a Palpatine?
Well, unfortunately, and this is where me knowing too many damn people and too much damn information, I had an idea going in. I didn't want to. I didn't mean for it to be spoiled. It kind of was. That there was a connection between the two, but I did not expect to be what it was. I honestly felt like at the time, and remember, this is going back almost 2 years, so I'll kind of rein it in and bring it back where I am now. But 2 years ago when I heard it, I was like, man, they're just trying to, like, they kind of threw shit at the wall and see what stuck. And the writer just went, that's interesting. I don't know if I really got with it until I really kind of went back into the backstory and the fact that the Emperor had clones and clones and clones, and for whatever reason, much like Jango Fett in episode 2, kept one clone, had it be real person, develop real time, and had the son, and then he and Rey's mother had Rey, and unlike Boba Fett, this son rebelled against the beliefs of the father, and the Emperor had him eliminated. And I liked the fact that there was a decent backstory to it. And it wasn't just, okay, here, she's the granddaughter. She has to be, much like Luke did in Return of the Jedi. She has to be the one to take the evil down, because it was all about lineage. I actually liked that, the fact that everybody was tied together. And the Emperor even said, the son of Vader took him down. Now, the daughter of my son has to battle me. It's like, dude, everybody's tied together. I like it. I like how every much like you do on my show, or our show we do Dads, when you have your little story weaving suit, everything in that one moment just went, aha. And I remember the post I made when I was at the theater with Dylan for the first time seeing it, which is why I chose this one to be a part of, and I'll get to in a minute. Having that all come together after 42 years, it was like, oh, got it. Interesting. Like, I was very, not in the moment, like I said, after a couple of watchings on home video, I was like, got it. Okay, cool. That's the very reason why I chose this one for my participation on the Star Wars side of this month Odyssey you're on with sci-fi. This was the only one that Dylan and I saw together. It was the only one that I recall that I saw with anybody other than my dad. I think I saw either Phantom or Attack of the Clones with my buddy Matt. But this was the first one I saw with somebody familial, like that I saw with my offspring. The only one I ever saw with my offspring, and it was cool for me to have my lineage there as the lineage, as the Star Wars, as the Skywalker saga came to an end. It was kind of like a cool, like a cool moment in my head that, you know, I'm passing on the experience of seeing Star Wars in a theater to my kid. Because everybody here knows I did not start off a Star Wars fan. I've been a Trekkie for life. I didn't see the movies in theaters until 1997 when George decided to play God with his special editions. Again, not hating on it. But that was the first theater experience I've had of Star Wars, was 1997 with the re-releases. So to have my son be there for the last of the 9 was very cool for me. And when we get to my other appearance during one of these sagas here toward the end of the month, I have a semi-similar story, and we'll get there when we get there. And of course, I'm going to be on for Spaceballs, so that'll be a train wreck, because Spaceballs is a train wreck in and of itself. So I'll see y'all in about 4 days for that one. But yeah, it's a hot mess. We're not gonna lie. You know this.
Oh yes, Spaceballs is Spaceballs.
Yeah, and when you figure that I've got my pay-per-view predictions coming up tomorrow, I've got the pay-per-view watch-along, pay-per-view predictions, then the Country Bears tomorrow. Let's not forget about that for one damn minute. Because 2 of us are going to be doing the Country Bears together. Yeah, I know. And what's funny is yesterday, for those of you who don't remember, yesterday, of course, was Fantasmic anniversary, 29 years, which, again, makes my spine curve and my hair gray with each passing year. I see that. I almost went, we're close to the anniversary. Let's put it the way it was. I'm like, you know what? They can wait 2 more weeks for Fantasmic. So let's do them on the 29th. So then there's the pay-per-view predictions, there's Country Bears, there's the watch along Sunday, there's Talk Wrestling Monday, and then you and I are doing Spaceballs on Tuesday.
And Mikey.
Yeah, see, 3 of us on one train wreck of a movie. May the Schwartz be with us all. Good Lord. But yeah, I enjoy this one more as my alarm goes off, because that's the way we do. We're live, folks. Even though we're not.
Is it live or is it Memorex?
That's right. I actually enjoyed this one more than a lot of people said I would. A lot more than people thought I should, quite frankly. A lot of people were very divided on how this went. So, I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the whole saga. Yes, people will shit on Attack of the Clones. I don't blame you. People will shit on Solo. I don't blame you. But I found something to like in all 11 of these live-action movies. I even like the Clone Wars the Clone Wars full-length movie, and all the peripherals, except for the holiday special, which, again, I'm still recovering from having seen that again, thanks to your ass.
Lord, I apologize for that. Right,
that's
there.
right. And be with the Jawas down in Tatooine. Amen. Yeah, just a mess. But again, now that we're at the end of the saga, it's like, it's cool that I'm glad you decided to do this, because you're covering the entire history, movie-wise, of both of the arguably the greatest sci-fi sagas in history.
Yeah.
I mean, people give you your Aliens, your Terminators, and all that, but these 2 stories, almost, if you factor in all the peripherals, more than a dozen each. There's endurance in these movies, and there's love of these movies, and there's criticism of these movies. But that's why you do your shows, I do my shows, we do our show. If everybody universally loves stuff, it'd be boring.
Very much so. Let me see here. You mentioned the Force Ghost edit that I brought into the review there.
Yes.
And how epic that little addition just made. Did you notice, as I pointed out, the fact that Luke and Anakin were side by side?
That was very, very cool. And again, we talked about the edit we found on Etsy where, there's no young Hayden, there's Sebastian Shaw as the Force Ghost. It's like, yeah, that's not what George wants, though, is his legacy. So to have Hayden there next to Mark Hamill, it's like, dude, all the feels. Like, everybody's there. Even though Anakin hacked Mace's hand off and had the Emperor send him out the damn window, Mace still standing there fighting like a mother. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong version of Sam Jackson. But although it's described on his lightsaber, it does say badass MRF on his lightsaber. Look into it.
I believe it.
Sam's a badass. What are you gonna do? But to have them all come there, we're all Jedi. We're all redeemed. Everything's good. Rey, we got you. It's okay. Too cool.
Very much so. And, they could have done the same thing with Palpatine, I am all the Sith. But I think it would have been a little bit weird doing that because, Vader would have had to have been on that side. And then on the other side, you've got Anakin, and it's like...
it's a very confused actress. But, and honestly, if you think about it, with the rule of 2, there wouldn't be a whole lot on that end. You figure before Palpatine, Plagueis, and it goes back almost to about the Darth Mun era when you think about how far back they go. So there wouldn't have been near as many on Palpatine's side, which arguably could have made him look weak looking back, which is probably why they didn't do either side. Just so they could have everybody, just so they could have them look. This is Palpatine. He's got everybody with him. This is Rey. She has everybody with her, but all you see is the two of them, and it is one-on-one. The ultimate struggle of good versus evil here. Here he is, one-on-one to the death, winner take all. And
because if we just go based off of the movies, with Palpatine, you would have Maul, Dooku, Grievous, and Vader.
And even still, Grievous wasn't officially inducted as a Sith, so...
Right. He just had all the lightsabers from the Jedi he killed.
Right. Whereas the Jedi we saw...
You could have had Darth Plagueis, but we don't really know what he looked like.
No,
we only heard
in canon.
The tale.
Right.
We only heard the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Right.
It's not until you expand into the peripherals in the books that you get the full story of him.
Yes, the now named Legends canon, if you will. And if they did bring him on screen, he's a weird looking dude. So I don't know if
I do have right here.
Well, there you go. So the way they depict him on Wikipedia, he's a very elongated typed, not quite humanoid character. So it would have been interesting because first you got to get a guy in a suit or a CGI thing, then you got to ghost him. It probably just would have been more of the hassle to Kennedy and them than it would have been really worth. So it's like, you know what? Like I said, you've got 1 versus 1, and luckily, I thought it was a good idea to keep Ben off screen until the battle was over, and then he ultimately A, redeems himself, and B, saves the day. So Skywalker Saga truly ends with the Skywalker sacrifice. Brilliant filmmaking there.
Completely agree. When I had Mikey on for Return of the Jedi, I had to ask him, because I've always known Jedi was his favorite, but with the prequels and the sequels, I had to ask if it was still his favorite. And I know we did our Star Wars show a little over a year ago now when the dads first returned.
Right.
For those that maybe didn't see that episode, what is your favorite installment of the Star Wars saga?
I don't remember what I said a year ago, to be honest with you, because I've not watched that because I was so irritated having to edit out the crawl because Disney's a bunch of money-grabbing sons of bitches. But as I wear all their shit, because I'm clearly not a hypocrite or anything.
Feed the machine, baby. Feed the machine.
Most of these pins I bought, so clearly I'm full of my own baloney here. God, looking back, now that the saga's complete or whatever, I kind of fall toward, and again, this may sound sacrilege to the purists, but it's a tie between Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One for me.
Really?
Yes, and I will say Rogue One, you gotta remember, Rogue One I saw while I was still working at your current place of employment, just out here in my neck of the woods, and it was night after night of it's the best one since Empire. So I had it fed into my brain, and it was damn good. It was damn good. Like, Rogue One blew me away. And when you think about story number one, number two, the way they got Peter Cushing into it, which is nothing short of miraculous, and the way they edited in Carrie just enough at the end where it looked like she was the same princess we saw in 1977, put that little disc into R2-D2's memory. I loved the whole story of and how close it tied into A New Hope. By contrast, Solo was just out there on its own and never freaking land, with a brief reference having Darth Maul be there as well. Like, oh, okay, cool. Some sort of connection. Got it. Revenge of the Sith, I love because for, at that time, 2005, I'd been a fan for almost 10 years myself by then, but for most of the people, for almost 30 years, people wondered, how did we get here? How did we get to the point where this guy becomes this machine, where Obi-Wan and Yoda become outcasts, where Luke ends up with this uncle that has no true vision of what the hell the universe is about? How did, the country song, how do I get there from here? How did we get here? Sith tells us. What was the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin like that made Anakin fully into Darth Vader? Dude, you said it yourself the other day on whatever show we were doing. Duel of the Fates was everything. Like, my goodness. As was the brief battle between the Emperor and Yoda, where Yoda realizes into exile I must go. Failed I have. It's like, dude, he knew in that moment he had to bounce. And he did. And in a deleted scene that's on the home video stuff, you see him fly to Dagobah and set up his exile until we knew that the New Hope would arrive. So just Revenge of the Sith, it's on my list mainly because as polarizing as Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones were, Revenge of the Sith goes, here's why we subjected you to the last 6 years. Right here.
Revenge of the Sith I can kind of get behind because it's high up on my list too.
Right.
Rogue One is the one that caught me off guard because at the end of the day, and I said it on my review, so it's no problem to repeat it here, but
right.
We already kind of knew what happened in the story.
Of course.
Did we need 2.5 hours of seeing it?
No, not necessarily, but because we all knew that the plans eventually ended up in Leia's hands, and then in 3PO, and then, of course, ultimately with Luke and Obi-Wan. But I loved how they went, okay, yeah, they know this stuff, but how do we get here from here? How did it end up being that scene where Tarkin and Vader and the Emperor are watching this thing get built, which, according to George, apparently was a prototype of what we ended up seeing in A New Hope, because 19 years to build one and then 6 to build another, doesn't work. So George kind of tied that in his own way. But to go from seeing that moment where it's being built to it's almost ready, it's about to destroy shit, how do we combat this? And having this the heroine we never knew we needed, and Jyn Erso, who, granted, we didn't see her the rest of the saga because she dies at the end. Spoiler alert, if you didn't see it, sorry, my bad. Go watch his review. He probably told you the same thing, you dumbasses. So I just like the fact that they were ballsy enough to go, you know what? Not necessary, but we think it's good enough. And I think it's definitely, I think it's the best purely cinematic one of them outside of the original 3.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, like we always say, every other Friday, subjective. So
yep.
I can't knock your opinion. It just caught me a little bit off guard that you'd speak so highly of Rogue One in the grand scheme of things.
You know what? It surprises me too. And like I said, I spent the better part of my employment at Wally World night after night, having not seen it, despite running into freaking spires this tall of the new release of it, throughout the store. But I got my hands on it and I loved it. I was surprised myself how much I liked it. So
we're the flip side of it is like Solo. I kind of felt like we needed to further understand Han.
Right.
It was just a garbage movie.
Yeah, it fell very short of what it needed to be, for sure.
Rogue One, we didn't really need. We had more than enough information in A New Hope,
Right.
but it was better.
Yeah.
It's just weird how it all rolled into things.
Rogue One, I didn't like the fact of how they wove the Darth Vader attack and how they kind of retconned his approach to the ship and his entry onto the ship and just made it more of he's a complete psychopathic, jerk, killing everybody left and right in that one little tunnel, because it really didn't go down that way in 77, but I didn't mind it so much because during any part of the saga where Vader's in full gear, we don't see him go postal. Vader done went postal in Rogue One. I'm like, all right, I've had enough of all y'all's stupidity and bullshit. Enough of this. And just started hacking things away left and right. And I love how he got Kremrick and like, no, dude, no, you're a bitch. And the Emperor knows you're a bitch. That's why I'm here and not him. It's like, no. Just love it. Every bit of it.
So, rating time for The Rise of Skywalker. Okay. You know how we do things on this channel, so yes. I don't have to tell you.
I will. Okay. Like I said, I very much like this entry, but I am hesitant to give it a 5-star because I don't think it's, again, we talked about Back to the Future. 5-star for me has to be a perfect movie. This is not perfect. So I will give it, since you don't do quarter stars, I'll go 4.5.
Okay.
Like if it was just a little bit less, let's throw every damn thing we needed the last 40 years that we haven't done in this movie into this, I probably would give it a 5. It would have been a lot more, lot less filler. I mean, granted, not a whole lot of filler. Everything we saw was needed for the most part. So 4.5, 7.5 sounds good to me.
And honestly, I agree with you as far as 4.5 stars out of 5. This is my favorite entry in the sequel trilogy.
Agreed.
The Last Jedi, when I watched it the other day, it was better than I kind of had remembered and kind of messed with it about in the past. There were definitely things that stood out to me.
Right.
It's still the weakest installment in the sequel trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, the one thing that I feel like hindered that one is that J.J. Abrams didn't do it to have a clear, concise vision throughout the 3. But The Rise of Skywalker, I feel kind of picked right up where Force Awakens ended as far as being a love letter to fans of Star Wars.
Right.
There was a new generation of rebellion, resistance. There was a new Jedi that could possibly bring back the Jedi Order. There was the familiar faces that we knew and loved.
Right.
Even going as far as to dust Harrison Ford off for an uncredited cameo in this one after being killed off in Force Awakens.
Oh.
And the minute you heard his voice, you started to get that emotion inside of you.
Yep. As soon as you hear that, hey kid, it's like, oh no, here we go.
And I didn't touch on it in my review part of this, but when Ben says dad and then freezes and Han just gives him that smirk, I know.
Yeah. It's like you're right back on freaking Destiny going, I know.
Exactly. That he was about to tell him that he loved him.
Yep.
And he just couldn't get the words out. I know.
Yeah. Oh, just too much. Yeah. It's like I said,
so good. And then C-3PO, and who would have thought that an annoying pain in the ass protocol droid could pull emotion out of you? And then the Chewie thing.
Oh
you've got all these peripheral characters that you never would expect to make you feel. And they're just striking nerve after nerve. And we all knew when they handled Leia's thing that was going to make us feel.
Well, for sure.
But, taking one last look at my friends.
I'll tell you what. When R2 restored him, bawling like a baby, I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, I cannot imagine them going forward with 3PO having been wiped completely like he was at the end of the Sith. I was like, no, not again. Oh, thank God for R2-D2. Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah. But like I say, this was definitely a love letter to the fans, and everything just hit on all cylinders.
Yes.
Yeah. The first 6 movies were very much the rise, fall, and redemption of Anakin Skywalker, and these 3 were the redemption of Ben Solo. You don't really get a rise, fall of Kylo Ren, because once we meet him, he's already on fire, baby. He's cooking with gas, just like when we first meet Vader in A New Hope. So
but
that could maybe be a standalone film that they do, is the in-between of Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, with Luke restoring the Jedi Order, training the new Jedi,
training Leia,
one of which could be Ben Solo.
Like I said, there's plenty of proverbial meat on the Star Wars bone. It just depends how willing Lucasfilm is and how willing they are to either, once again, cast these guys that, quite frankly, are either aging out at this time or are financially putting themselves out of contention, like our buddy Crispin Glover did for Back to the Future Part 2. It's like, dude, like, we know you are who you are, but and again, I'm not saying Disney won't spend the money, because Lord knows they will, but it's just a matter of, do we want to keep telling more of the story of Luke, of Leia, especially when Leia's gone? I couldn't imagine having to try to have a segment of movie of Luke training Leia without having so much CGI Leia that it would just look almost ridiculous. So, but
use
again,
your daughter.
But again, and they use your daughter for a lot of the body double stuff with Leia in this one, which was really well thought out, I thought. But again, like I was going to say, there's 30-something years between Jedi and Force Awakens, so they can conceivably have a younger actor play Luke as well. It would be like sacrilege, but it's like, dude, Mark Hamill's how old? Do you want him even CGI having to hop around these jungles chasing people with lightsabers? Dude, come on. Like, Luke's at peace. Let Mark be at peace, for crying out loud.
Yeah, for real. If you're going to resurrect a Mark Hamill Jedi character, bring back Cockknocker. I'm looking at you, Kevin Smith.
That's right. Hell, if you're going to resurrect a Mark Hamill character, let's have some more Joker stuff. I'm okay with that too. That's his voice. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Let's get out there on the social medias, everybody.
Yes.
Get those hashtags trending. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios. Hashtag Renegades Reviews. Hashtag Renegade Returns. Hashtag Jeff Meacham Network. Let's go ahead and get that little plug in there, since the man, the myth, the legend is here himself. And of course, the ever popular hashtag Shenanigans.
Yes, quite so.
And shenanigans are always afoot when the two of us get together.
Like
As Bill and Ted said, strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
That's right.
Shenanigans are afoot when we're together.
Yeah, I mean, we rarely get together, you and I, on a Saturday. But tomorrow, not only are we, God, if y'all tune in tomorrow on this channel, you got the family, you've got Blue Harvest, which, God bless you guys for tuning in to Blue Harvest. Watch the movie first. What? Find a way, because it's funnier than hell.
Blue Harvest is amazing.
Oh, it really is. Blue Harvest is admittedly the only one where Seth's whole crew went actually tried.
No. Something dark side they did too.
Oh, okay.
But come, it's a trap. They even made fun of it. They're like,
And they
"Oh,
call it, yeah,
we're
yeah,
doing
it's-
Jedi now, aren't we?"
Yeah, oh, yeah, here we go. He said, "Oh, we're doing Jedi. Okay, here we go." Just roll. Even Peter's like, "Just do it." It's so good. These next 3 days on Renegades reviews are going to be fun. So once you've properly cleaned yourself up from peeing yourself watching Jay's show, because you know you're going to, don't front. Pop a squat, listen to my WrestleMania backlash predictions, and then grab your kiddos, grab your Bear Country, Critter Country popcorn bucket, and your overpriced soda, and come watch the very last running of JJ's favorite, and it should be yours too, damn it, the Country Bear Jamboree from September 9th, 2001. If you know that date and where significance is, you know why we feel it's all Disney's fault. And we'll get into that more on Saturday.
Yes. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
Merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag StatBoyApproved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Make sure you get out there, do what that commercial just told you. Go to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the official merchandise of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood. Get you your Renegade JJ Williams shirt, your Dad's Not Always on Wrestling shirt, Statboy Sports Bar, hashtag StatBoyApproved, hashtag Shenanigans. Get you your official merchandise for the Jeff Meacham Network, 3 different designs of the Jeff Meacham Network logo to choose from, along with Meachamania, Talk Wrestling, and so much more. Tomorrow, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, when I will bring you yet another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. As Jeff alluded to, I will be beginning the Family Guy Star Wars trilogy with Blue Harvest, their version of A New Hope. So you're definitely not going to want to miss out on that. Got the Family Guy trilogy, we've got Spaceballs, and then, folks, we will boldly go where no man has gone before. So quite a few exciting things coming up here on the Casa D18 Studios channel that you're going to want to make sure to tune in for. So thank you very much for joining me, Jeff. As always, here on the show. Look forward to the next one. Look forward to your pay-per-view watch-along this weekend. And, of course, Talk Wrestling back in its regular slot on Monday. For the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham, I am the Renegade JJ Williams. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you.